I show you now the back of the house. So this is the back of the factory where the delivery is, where the waste is going out. And what I want to say with that is that the core of what we do is actually for factory buildings, not the front of the building, but it's actually what happens inside and what happens behind. And that it looks good and is nice is just collateral damage. So we are 20 years old, we did 500 something projects, we have around 120,000 people going to work every day in the buildings we have designed and built. And of course that's what we talk about. We talk of people. We talk of people having a good working environment. We have handled around $2 billion of investments of foreign companies in China. We design things in well and we want to build it well. And that means we do projects, we do the architecture design, we do the interior design, and we normally do the project managements for a lot of the projects we do. Because we want not only to design it, we want also to make sure that it's well usable when it's built. So our clients are our projects are in workplaces, so it's industrial buildings, R&D buildings, and offices. Then of course a bit of commercial things, for example showrooms, some stores. We do a bit of food and beverage. In China, that's mostly canteens of factories and schools. In our office in Thailand, which does more work in Southeast Asia, we have also much more restaurants and bars and things like that. And we are quite strong in educational projects. Again, all these projects have a strong functionality, and then out of the functionality we develop the beauty ideally, or the icon. But to become an icon probably it takes also some time. Something iconic is normally not something just done today. It's something which has been used for 30 years and then is seen as an icon. So what we are doing is we work normally with our clients from the very first part, so that they say when they need to build something, we help them prepare it, we help them do the programming. Because you should never underestimate that whenever you see a good architecture, there is a good client behind. So no good architecture without good clients. So without doing the right thing, without preparing it right, without having the opportunity, like with you, to really study what do you need, what is your dream for the future, how will you work in the next 20, 30 years, there cannot be good architecture. Maybe there can be iconic architecture, this is possible I would say, but not good architecture. So of course, one thing which is interesting in China is the scale of the project is hugely different. So in Switzerland, of course, we are a small country. Projects if you do 1,000 square meters, is already quite a big project. In China, of course, we go up to projects which have almost 1 million square meters, where, of course, we cannot work in so much detail as we would do in Switzerland or in Italy. So we do some work in Europe, we work in Southeast Asia, and of course we work mostly in China, where we have the biggest office of Virtuarch. So, okay, I skip it a bit. So all the red dots you see mostly in China, and of course more and more also in Southeast Asia. Of course also due to politics of companies, let's say in China, becoming less interesting or attractive to foreign investors, or also seen as more risky, while Southeast Asia is developing stronger. So you may have seen that this year is, I think, the first time since 30 years that China had lower growth rates than countries in Southeast Asia, which is a clear sign for the development we are in. Okay, so connection. So in our role, of course, there is an intercultural aspect. So we often are a bridge between cultures. We have clients from Europe which build in China. We have Chinese clients who build in Southeast Asia, or we have Chinese clients who build something in Europe. So this is an important thing. Innovation, of course, is important, and of course in innovation, sustainability is at the moment seen as one of the most vibrant drivers. So, of course, we did projects which are sustainable already many, many years ago. Then production, that's what I have also emphasized this morning in the panel. Of course, it's the functionality, because one thing, one aspect of sustainability is, of course, that you build what is needed. Because, of course, you can build an extremely, sometimes in China you see so-called lighthouse projects or model projects. They will build a zero-carbon pavilion, which is then just standing around empty, and next to it they build 2 million square meters of bad buildings. And so sustainability means, of course, also that you do the right thing, not just you do it to show off. Educational buildings, as I say, we have quite a number of very interesting projects. And future ways to work. So this is the question, how will work in future look like? So you have a few examples. So this one is in China. It's pretty standard, I would say. It's a CEO having a private office, a sofa seating, a boardroom. Then on the lower back, here, co-working space in Switzerland. Switzerland, of course, being very expensive, so people do not rent big offices anymore, but when they have teams, they go to co-working spaces. Or another project I've mentioned up there, workation, so being flexible, being in lockdown, let's say in the last lockdown in Shanghai, we could have all been at the tropical beach and working exactly the same as we did at our home in Shanghai. So that's where we are. Few projects we did, for example, Chiesi, that's an Italian pharmaceutical company here in China. We did their offices. Again here, open space office, niches, phone booths, very contemporary office concepts. Diasorin, also in Shanghai, is an R&D center. Here's the office part. I just skipped through not to bore you too much. Or here another project for Clariant. That's a very big R&D center and regional headquarters, around 30,000 square meters. And again, of course, it has a big lobby. It has cafe areas. There is this so-called work cafe, which again is due to the fact that people are not always in the office. The sales team, they come and was used during lunchtime as canteen. Before and after they can use as a co-working space. Or here, that's the last one I want to show you because I think my time runs out, right? It's a very big factory for a Chinese client, and I'll show you in a minute. You will see very familiar things. Thanks to the experience of our last 3 years, we had the opportunity to build such big factories for this client. They actually do rubber gloves. So if you ever wondered where all these rubber gloves come from, which you have at your daily COVID test booth, so then it's coming from factories like that one from Inco.